Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with B-29s dropped their eggs on Honshu, talking about B-29 super fortresses dropping bombs on the Japanese oil refineries in Honshu. We're now on to Yank Heroes Are Buried in China, May 1945. The flag flies at half-mast. Heroes of the 20th Bomber Command lie buried in the United States Military Cemetery in the interior of China. The wounded Chinese soldier below was a victim of a Japanese mortar shell. Coordinated efforts of the American flyers and the Chinese ground forces were at last turning the tide in China, smashing the Japanese attack on the American airbase at Xinjiang and crumbling the entire Japanese line in the western Hunan province. Reports claimed that more than 20,000 Japanese were killed in 10 days on the Xinjiang, sorry I'm mispronouncing that, front, threatening to oust the Japs from the Chinese interior. Yeah, this is something, people do talk about somewhat that what was going on in China. However, they don't really get into the details as much. There's a lot of coordination between, you know, bombing units and the Chinese soldiers. Chinese soldiers are fighting really hard to shake the Japanese out of their land. And really, it doesn't come until Japan surrenders at the end of the war. But like Japan still wasn't giving up their land that they had taken in China. Um, and so these people fight hard, and you have a lot of Chinese citizens, really, you say soldiers, but a lot of times these are just farmers, things like that, that are just trying to be free of the Japanese oppression. And you have the Americans coming in, blowing stuff up, and they're gonna sometimes perish, and they'll be buried in China. Firecrackers dislodge Okinawa Japs. May 1945. Nips are blown from caves. Demolition and flame-throwing squads had to blast and sear the tenacious Japanese from the caves strewing the ridges and hills before Naha. Leathernecks of the 6th Marine Division above calmly watch as one of their dynamite charges violently eliminates Japanese who insisted on remaining in a cave to join their ancestors. Below, a flame-throwing tank pours fire into the holes of a hillside where the fanatical Japanese dug themselves in. Yeah, so the Japanese hide in these caves all over Okinawa. They kind of did in Iwo Jima as well. There's quite a few examples. And you have dynamite charges, you have flamethrower groups, you have flamethrower tanks, all to try to get these people out because they're hiding and they're not going to give up. They are, like I've said in previous videos, they are told these Americans will do horrible things to them. They do not want to give up. So they dislodge them in any way they can. And a lot of times it's in pretty violent ways, you could say. The Nazi labor leader is apprehended. May the 16th, 1945. Caught near Bergstogden. Bergstogden. Unshaven and unkempt, Dr. Robert Ley, 55-year-old Nazi labor leader, was captured in a mountain hideaway by troops of the 101st Airborne Division. The Yanks do not suppress their grins as the oh my gosh, I'm having a really hard time today. Bedraggled Nazi pads by in thick-soled shoes. He wears an overcoat over pajamas. Yeah, you can see the 101st guys. just smiling, smiling. And yeah, this guy, he was probably trying to hide to the best of his ability, because a lot of these upper Nazi leaders, they are, let's just say, not too confident in their ability to get away from some of the crimes against humanity they committed. I guess they're smart in that regard, at least, to try to run away, but not very far. But yeah, a lot of these guys are caught like this, where they just look kind of ridiculous. But I'm sure the 101st didn't mind his attire. Gestapo Chief Himmler takes poison. May 23rd, 1945. He couldn't face the music. After his apprehension by British guards at Bremervorde, hangman Heinrich Himmler decided that it was easier to die than to answer for his sins, and he swallowed a capsule of cyanide poison, which he had concealed in his mouth. The former head of the Gestapo should have known better, but he was captured because he was carrying fake discharge papers at a date when such papers were not being issued to the German army. The picture at the top shows also that he had shaved his mustache to disguise his identity. Another Nazi leader who couldn't take it was Admiral Hans Friedberg, commander-in-chief of the German Navy and one of the signers of the unconditional surrender at Rheims. He also swallowed poison. Yeah, these guys, I mean, they know. They know, like they said. They can't face the music. They know what was coming, though. If they get captured, they're going to be, well, they pretty reasonably think this. They're going to be tortured. They're going to be executed. So why not take it out on your own terms? And yeah, these cyanide capsules, they were pretty common, even before this war, because it's quick and an effective way of ending everything, you could say. But yeah, Himmler, he tries to hide, but they find him, and like he's such a dummy. He could have done a million other ways to get away, but he didn't. He gets left out to dry. And yeah, Friedberg, yeah, I mean, his is a mix probably of things. One, shame, and probably knowing that, well, things are gonna happen to him anyway, so he probably kind of understand. He's in the army now. May 1945. Drafted at 80. This young fellow of 80 years saw service with the military railway service on the U.S. Army in India. Able to push several loaded cars, he made it possible to do without a shunting engine at this siding, near Ledo. This section of the Bengal Railway was operated by the U.S. Army. Yeah, I mean, something people really kind of forget is in India especially, there's still elephants. There's still war elephants. Like it's such a big thing that was in this war. Like I believe in a previous episode a long time ago now, but um it was talked about. Like there's still elephant divisions that the Indians use, and it's really weird to think because we think of that as a very ancient thing. A lot of people would think of ancient Rome. You know what happened with um, ancient Rome's greatest adversary, Hannibal. Hannibal uses war elephants, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, India's still using them. They're still considered a important military animal at that time. German civilians see horror movies. May 25th, 1945. One cries, another laughs. When German civilians were made to view films of the horrors of Buchenwald and Belsen, one woman was moved, but another below laughed and is being sent back to view the picture a second time. Films were shown to the populace of Bergstafenwörth, which was known as the Village of Hate. because its resentment of British occupation. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to re-educate, which, like I've said before, re-education doesn't necessarily work that well, and especially in this scenario. You know, these people are just gonna see it as a um, British occupation. Like, look what they're making us do. So one way to do that is to laugh. You know, who cares? This film isn't real. Things like that. People are gonna deny what happened in those films, or people just don't care. You know, it's like, well, what do I care? It didn't happen to anyone I know. It's just how it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, these people also they just don't like British rule. They don't like really anyone's rule. They want to be independent. They want to be Germans. Um, but yeah, still can't deny the horrors that went on in some of those places. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys like the video, leave a like. If you have any ways I can improve these videos, leave a comment down below. I always read your comments. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.